Welcome into the Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up.
The line's wrapped around the stadium.
Different strengths. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Bergeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
A lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to. He look crazy, Bill.
Good feet on the old man.
Definitely come back.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. Welcome in to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, just like we are every single day. Make sure you check out our friends online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Go Chevrolet with a couple of locations, one in LaPlace, one in Baton Rouge. Used car lot over there at Go Express Auto Sales. Brand new car lot over there in LaPlace. Check them out all online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Good Tuesday show coming at you. We're going to talk to Josh Pate coming up here at 8:30 this morning. We'll talk to Pate about the SEC weekend ahead, about the SEC slate last weekend, about the announcement of the October 8th playing date in the SEC where LSU and Tennessee are going to kick off at 11 a.m. Big dud when that came across the room yesterday, as it's an enormous college football weekend, and I think LSU thought that best case scenario they could be sitting at the 2:30 slot. Worst case scenario they could be sitting at the 6:30 SEC network slot. I don't know if they ever anticipated that Tennessee game as a real threat to kick off at 11 a.m., but they make the announcement yesterday. CBS deciding to go with Auburn and Georgia. We'll tell you our thoughts kind of behind that coming up here, but we're going to get to Coach Caskey pretty quick here, as Caskey's clicker will be in here in a couple of minutes, and he'll be breaking down a couple of plays from last weekend over the with the LSU win over New Mexico. We'll also be looking at some of the Saints offense as they are struggling right now. We'll ask him what he thinks about the play calling with the New Orleans Saints, and then we'll take a look at Robbie Ashford, the true freshman quarterback for Auburn. And remember, we will extend this version. The extended cut will be coming back at you this afternoon around 2 o'clock this evening on the YouTube channel. In fact, we've got the Caskey's Clicker YouTube channel up and operating. We'll give you the link to follow there. And remember, daily, we're brought to you by Metropolitan Health Group. Real doctors, real solutions. Metropolitan Health Group, Charlie Harvey and Jason Ramazan. All right, before we get to Coach Caskey, real quick here, the announcement yesterday made by the SEC, or excuse me, by the television networks for the SEC matchup on that October 8th playing date that we've been talking all about really throughout the offseason. The rumblings for this playing date began with the Saban-Jimbo Fisher saga that started over the summer, with Fisher and Saban going back and forth about paying recruits and NIL money and all of this stuff, right? First thing everybody went to was, when does Texas A&M play Alabama? Well, they play them on October 8th, and that might be one of the best college football weekends, especially in the SEC when you look around. Arkansas and Mississippi State play that day. Auburn and Georgia play that day. Tennessee and LSU play that day. We've told you from a national standpoint. Texas and Oklahoma will play on that October 8th date. So it's going to be a great day for college football, and I think everybody here in Baton Rouge was looking forward to having either a night game or a really intriguing 2:30 midday matchup with LSU. Yesterday, as they do always, they always make the announcements 2 weeks out for the television outlets. Make the announcements 2 weeks out from the game to give you an idea when it's coming up. And when it came across the wire yesterday that LSU was playing Tennessee at 11 a.m., man, my phone went nuts from obviously other media members, but some people within LSU. And I think somebody, Saturday Down South had it where Jacques put the tweet out, and Jacques tweeted this yesterday. Incredibly, at LSU football versus Tennessee football will be an 11 a.m. Tiger Stadium kickoff. The decision for CBS to pass not once but twice on the contest has upset many people, I'm told, according to Jacques, including LSU Athletics Director Scott Woodward and even some SEC officials and leadership. The reason why Jacques mentioned that CBS passed on this game twice is because this is the Saturday that CBS is going to have a primetime matchup. And you knew that how they do the primetime matchups every season, when this Fisher-Saban drama saga was going over the summer, this was going to be the game, right? I mean, other than Georgia playing Alabama in the regular season, this was the most intriguing regular season matchup in the league. So you knew this one was going to get, full billing as the headline game, and it should be. But really, now what that does with the primetime slot in CBS, it opens up that 2:30 slot as a potential another game, almost kind of like, like the second best game in the league that day. And the way that it kind of works is ESPN, CBS, SEC Network, who's owned by ESPN, are all in a room in a Zoom meeting. They're looking at these games, and it's just a draft, right? Where, CBS has got first right of refusal. They've got the first pick. Obviously, they take Texas A&M and Alabama to be their primetime game. After that, ESPN picks, and it looked like, ESPN went with Mississippi State, Arkansas, Kentucky, South Carolina as their 6:30 game on the SEC Network.
I mean, that's the one that's puzzling, right?
That's a little puzzling, but then it got back to CBS, right, where CBS is now selecting that 2:30 game. And you've got Georgia there, who is bright, shiny, sexy, number one in the country, got all of the accolades of defending national champs, great roster, going against an Auburn program that's probably going to be with a new coach that week. Probably going to have somebody in the interim that week. If not, that's going to be the storyline, and Georgia is going to throttle Auburn. I mean, like, really and truly. I woke up one Monday morning or Sunday when the AP poll came out at noon. I was looking for Kent State to get some votes just because of how close they kept the game with Georgia. Really, I thought they deserved some votes for how close they kept it with Georgia. Georgia feels, like Alabama has in years past, where it's just kind of them and everybody else. They have felt like that, but I thought Kent State kind of, they immortalized them a little bit. But CBS decides to go with that game, and to me, that's the controversial game. But from CBS's perspective, it's the number one team in the country. It's the defending national champs. They're going to be, they're going to see that, and they're going to run to it. I think that the best game of the day is going to be LSU Tennessee. I really do. I think that's going to be, from a matchup standpoint in Tiger Stadium, a team, in LSU that feels like they're kind of, trajecting in a positive direction. And Tennessee, who's had a really good win and got some confidence coming down from Knoxville, I thought that television executives would really be intrigued by that game and throw it either in a night spot or throw it in that 2:30 selection for CBS. But the draft made its way back around to CBS again, and they decided to go with Georgia and Auburn. And I know that will not sit well with the LSU fans, and it sounds like that it's not sitting well with a couple of officials within the LSU administration. So Either way, the decision is made. You're going to kick this thing off at 11 o'clock. It's going to be hot. It is going to be hot in Tiger Stadium. But, look, I think that this is going to be a fantastic matchup as far as the interest goes with the fan base. I still believe that you will have a really cool atmosphere for Tennessee. Would you rather it at night? Sure. Would you rather it at 2:30? Absolutely. But you get it at 11 a.m., and it's still going to be a really good matchup for LSU at the front end of October to see if they can't, get some momentum going into that schedule. I mean, we could sit here and debate it all you want and talk about how it sucks. You're going to kick the game off at 11 a.m. And that's just going to wait. That's just how it's going to roll.
Do you think even Tennessee fans wanted it to be at night?
I don't know if I can speak for them, but I'm sure, if you're coming down here, that's probably a game that, this is a destination type trip.
Shit. Sorry.
This is a destination type trip, where you want to come down. If a lot of fans that, don't regularly play LSU like Tennessee will come down, spend a couple of days in New Orleans, make their way over to Baton Rouge for the game. And, if you're making that trip, you'd love to see a night game in Tiger Stadium. If vice versa, if LSU was making the trip up to Neyland, I'd love to see Neyland Stadium at a night game. I've been to Neyland twice, and I've been once during the day, once at night, and at night it's a great experience, right? I mean, I think that, if I was taking my son back there, I'd love for him to experience a night game in that, just like I'm sure that's probably happening for, some trip goers in Knoxville that are going to make the trip down to Baton Rouge. I'm sure there's a father-son that would love his kid to see a night game in Tiger Stadium, and it's not going to happen this time. But we'll break down some plays. Caskey's here. We got to get him in and out, and he'll be back at 2 o'clock for an extended cut. Remember, daily, as always, we are brought to you by Edward Jones, our financial advisor, Daniel Newman. Daniel.Newman@edwardjones.com, conveniently located out in Central at Market Square Drive. Get in touch with me today, Daniel.Newman@edwardjones.com. If you need physical advice, if you need financial advice, if you're looking for a couple of investments to make, or if you just need to get your finances in line, get in touch with Daniel Newman now. Daniel.Newman@edwardjones.com. Daniel.Newman@edwardjones.com. Kyle Caskey. Caskey's Clicker coming up here next. The shortcut will set you up for the extended cut coming up this afternoon at 2 o'clock. And make sure you are following Caskey's Clicker on YouTube. We'll tweet out that link here before we get into it next. Coach is in with us here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie@JordyCulottaShow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com.
Looking to book a dumpster but no idea how? We've made it quick and easy for you. Check out our website at moralesrolloffs.com. Let Morales Roll-Offs know your desired delivery date. And finally, provide your contact details. To make payment, look out for an email invoice with all your booking details. On delivery day, our driver will notify you through text and email that your dumpster is ready and on the way. Now you know how easy and convenient it is. Call Morales Roll-Offs at 225-427-0000 for your dumpster.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. Shout out to our crew over at Hebert's Lawn Service, taking care of us both at the UDL, formerly our studio, and the new DL, the Noodle over here at the new studio. As Hebert's Lawn Service, our favorite. Don't forget that they can help you out with winter cuts and with winter grass if you're looking for them. Help them out. Hebert's looking for them to help you out. They can. Blake Hebert and his crew at Hebert's Lawn Service. All right, Kyle Caskey, former LSU coach and former 12-year vet of the NFL, assistant coach, has been in with us and breaking down film. It's been fantastic. It's been so well reviewed and so well accepted by you, the audience. People want more. And we're gonna bring you more, right? We got a little shortcuts that we're gonna do on Tuesday mornings, and we'll bring back the extended cuts Tuesday afternoons. Make sure and follow Caskey's Clicker on YouTube. Coach, I know you got to get out to carpool, so let's get into it. Where are we going first?
Yeah, so again, I want to start with LSU, and had a little issue with the coaches film this week, but I've been doing this for a long time, man. I've done a long time, and the good thing about doing
that's the rumor on the street.
Good thing doing this for a long time is I can make things work,
That's
and I can
right.
make them look good.
That's
So,
right.
all right, we're gonna make this work. So first play we got here.
Throw us a
other than
curveball.
my-
We just keep our hands back. We'll knock it out of the park.
other than my face on there. So again, just looking at Jack Besh this week, everybody kept talking about how do we get Jack Besh involved, and this play that you're going to look at is really it's a highly used play. So the just so you know, the back is down here. Okay, so they're an empty set. They're running conversion hitches on the outside, which we can get into. It's cover 2 man. They'll convert. Really, what they're doing is they're running seams on the inside. Now Jack Besh is right here. They're isolating him on this inside backer. So he's going to run into this inside backer. He's going to set up. And then what he's going to do is if it's man, he plays off of him. If it's zone, he's just going to find the area, find the opening, and get him the ball. This is a highly used play in the NFL. All right, guys have made a living off of this play. So if you watch what he's doing, Besh is going to run in here, and then he's going to end up breaking off of that. See. And really, people are going to say, well, it's zone, just sit. Well, that's not the way this play is built. This play is built, listen, it's zone, yes, but there's a ton of open space right there. So go hit that space right there and do that. And again, they hit this play, I'd say at least twice, probably 3 times with him early in the game. So that's a highly, highly used play again in the NFL, and it's trickling its way down into college. All right, now the second play that I'm going to look at, everybody talks about Josh Williams and kind of what he brings to the table for this team. The thing about Josh Williams is Josh does a lot of things that aren't seen from just the casual viewer, all right? And one of the things he does it really well is protection, all right? So they're going to motion him over here, okay? They're going to end up running a corner, a snag, and then they're running double slants here. So it's quick game, all right? Why am I making a big deal about this being quick game? Because right now, this front here, and again, apologize, don't have the end zone, but this is a bare front, all right? So what they're doing is they're covering every gap, all right? When you cover every gap like this, usually what happens is in quick game, the O-line either just blocks all 5 of them and the back has somebody else, or you're getting rid of the ball quickly. You can just full slide the line and bring the back off the edge. I'm going to go to a clip later on this afternoon of the same protection with John Emery doing it, and there's just a touch of indecision, and I think John's getting better at that. But if you watch what Josh Williams does right here, when he comes across here, the line's going to all slide. They're all full sliding to the left. I know it doesn't look like they're full sliding, but they are. They left the edge guy for Josh. Now watch the decisiveness of this foot right here. All right. Anytime you know as a back that you're going to be going to your right, all of your mental weight is on your left foot. All right. And if you look, there's no false steps. There's no stepping underneath himself. He gets straight over there, gets to play, boom, and good play. So point being about Josh Williams, I think there's a lot more to this kid about being an overall player, and not just somebody that's there. Is he the best runner on the team? Probably not. I mean, I think Armani Goodwin's like showing he's probably that guy right now. But when he's healthy, hopefully he gets better soon. Something we're going to look at this afternoon on the defensive side of LSU is all the stuff that New Mexico was doing with the triple option. They had like a lead triple option, and the things that they were doing off of that. So I'm going to break that down a little bit this afternoon. Moving on to the Saints. All right, so if you look at the Saints, one of the questions I actually got one on Twitter last night was, how come the Saints aren't picking up exotic blitzes? What's up with their pass protection? All right, well, first off, this is the fad right now in the NFL. There's 8 guys on the line of scrimmage. So we would call this a double A front, 8 up. All right. So what they're doing is they're putting both linebackers in the A gaps, and they're putting an edge defender on each side. All right. Well, most of the time you've got 5, 6 blockers, correct? So you got to figure out how are you going to get those 6 guys on 8? Where are they coming from? It's tough because right now, yeah, he's tilted a little bit over here, and these guys are looking like they're playing some form of cover 3. You don't really have an indicator saying which way are they blitzing from. So, but what they're doing here is you have to understand, if they do bring both edge guys and somebody in the middle, you got to have an answer out here. And this is where really good quarterbacks will look out here and tell somebody out here. You'll see all those things we talked about with Mississippi State where they were blocking, they were running this guy to the flat and throwing it here. Or if this guy were to blitz, you set all your protection going this way, all right, which we'll get into this afternoon, but you set all your protection going away from these 3 receivers, all right? But if this outside guy were to blitz, all right, then you have a hot answer. So this guy would look real quickly. Or I believe this guy's hesitating and running across right here. So as you look at that, neither one of them are looking. So when this guy blitzes here, there's nobody here looking for the ball. He's not really looking to get rid of the ball. All right. Now, what's the problem with this is, for those of y'all that watched the game, that guy just swatted the ball right there. Now it's an interception, and it doesn't look real good. So point being is, have an answer. Walk this guy out a little bit. Walk this guy out a little bit. Maybe add this guy into protection if you can. Or if this is your tight end, add him into protection. Make a call. Change it. And that's something that people have got to be doing a better job of, because this right here shows up in almost every game. Now, not every team does this, but I'm telling you, in every game at some point on one team or the other, that defense is showing up. So people have to have an answer for it. And the answer is you block it up as good as you can, but then you find a way to have some sort of an answer whether it's just a sight. Okay, crap, here goes this guy. This guy right now, he just looks quickly. Because if you watch, if I play it just a second here, if this guy were to just look, or if this guy were to just look, he could just dump the ball right now, and it's not an issue. So there's a lot to that. And again, if you were to bring a guy down in protection, say this is your tight end, just bring him into protection and then play ball. Just change the protection. So there's ways around it. And again, I know that's what some of the guys were asking. Now I want you to watch. This is pretty cool what they do, and this is part of the talk this afternoon. Is if you watch 53 right here, and you guys in your cars, again, just put your phone in your dash so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, 53 is going to rush on to 74.
Not going to get in trouble.
No, get you a car mount or something. Figure it out. But 53 is going to run in here, and he's going to basically grab this guy, okay? That's what we call this from an offensive perspective. He's run up here now. So he buys 74. Now 74 stays on this guy just long enough to go here, and then he drops out. So we actually gain a dropper, but you also eat up a lineman. And you can see how that works right there. So that's what they're doing. They're actually eating that guy up with 53 and then dropping him out because that opens him up. Ooh. So that's what's happening there. Going to the Saints defense. Now, same spot of the field. All right? Same spot of the field. Just flip them around. All right. Now, what they're doing is they're kind of doing the same stuff. Now, I'm going to go to the end zone of this. They've got a little bit of a different look now. They've got big guys here, big guys. You got Honey Badger over here. You got a dime guy here and a linebacker here. All right. So who do you block? Most of the time what you're doing is just called like a double duel. So these guys here as guards, these guys are setting on the ends. All right. They're setting on the ends. These guys as guards are going to eye these two guys first. If they drop, then they'll work out and they'll tell this guy to push out. If he blitzes, then he'll stay on him. All right. And then the back right now has got to go coast to coast on what he's doing. Always start on your side first, come across. So if you play this here, you see 20 drops, 32 drops. Here comes 48 off the edge, 90's blitzing. So 63 right now, he looked at 20 dropped, 32 dropped. So he's going to stay on 94. He works back to 90. All right. He stays here because 56 blitzed. 48's off the edge. McCaffrey's coming over to get him. I know there's a lot there, but here's what the Saints are doing a really good job of. They're going in here and consuming with one guy just enough to get this guy free over here, and Baker Mayfield gets totally flustered. In all reality, he has no reason to really be running around just yet. They've kind of got it picked up, let it develop. Maybe it's a deep pass. Again, you don't know what he's seen all game, so I mean he's just got happy feet. But anyway, I think the Saints are doing a good job. This is something Dennis Allen does a really good job of, is scheming up all these crazy exotic blitzes. So we'll get into that a little bit more this afternoon. And then the last thing I'm going to hit this afternoon, and I know a lot of people are interested in hearing about this freshman quarterback from Auburn and what the Tigers are going to face.
Robbie Ashford.
Robbie Ashford, yep. And he's a big kid. All right, I think he's 6'3", 215, maybe 220. I mean, he's a big guy. All right, and I've got a clip of him this afternoon of him just absolutely trucking a dude, I believe from Missouri. I mean, I'm talking about on the sideline, just ran flat through him like he was a running back. So he's got that. But here's what he is really good at. And again, I'm pointing out the obvious. We'll get into a lot more of his throwing ability, which I think is a little suspect at times. All right, I don't think he's the greatest thrower in the world yet. He's not making bad decisions necessarily all the time. He had a couple, but it's just his ball didn't have a whole lot of zip on it. But if you look here, I mean, Penn State's bringing a lot of guys here. So if you just watch what he does, and I think this is where you have to put a spy or a hole player in the game on this guy. Whether it's like I've seen LSU where they have the three guys here, and then they got a couple guys here, and one of these guys is spying on the quarterback, which you got to do. If you watch Penn State, let it go here. I believe they're blitzing this guy. They're actually blitzing this guy. There's really nobody. You could say that this guy is, but really this guy is probably has responsibility on the back. There's nobody here to spy on Robbie Ashford. So when he sees crap going on, there's nothing there. You cannot leave that open for him. All right. And what you're going to end up doing is you're going to give him this lane. And big man can run now. I mean,
because that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, it's exactly what he
looks very, very comfortable.
It's exactly what he wants to do. I mean, this is kind of to go with another Auburn guy. It's Cam Newtonish. I mean, it really is for what he did that year that he was with Auburn. And it's one of those things where if he sees that amount of grass, he's taking off. You just got to be careful of allowing that to open up. And there's something called, holding the pocket versus these running quarterbacks. And a lot of times you don't want your guys to rush past the quarterback. You don't want it to open up. You want to make sure you're condensing the pocket, and that didn't happen here.
A little bit of like a mush rush.
Yeah, kind of, because you really your biggest thing is this: he's not going to beat you with his arm. Shouldn't beat you with his arm. So you're not necessarily worried about getting the sack or what have you. You're more worried about keeping him contained and in the pocket, so he doesn't do that. And we'll get into that because he does have some things where he's actually he makes a couple good passes, but I'm telling you, you get some better defenders, I think, in the secondary like LSU has. They can break on those passes, and I think they can make plays on those passes. So there's a lot of things that this guy does well, but again, there's ways to exploit his weaknesses too.
Caskey's Clicker. There is a YouTube that exists under that title, and every morning when we do the short clips, we come back in the afternoon and do the extended cuts, and we got some good stuff to go over this afternoon. If you look, we got a lot of plays that we'll be going over with LSU, Saints, and we'll do some specialty packages on Auburn as Robbie Ashford, the quarterback, is somebody that we will go in depth on and look at not only his running but his ability to throw the ball as well. Coach, get to carpool. Thank you, thank you for stopping through. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Hit the like button. Hey, fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. Stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Donaldsonville Glass and Body, trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. We love the crew over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Chef Shane and his crew dropping off the meals every Monday here to FM Digital Media, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner. Me or the crew's going through our meals over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Their weekly pre-order, freshly made meals, or you can walk into the cooler over there on Airline Highway. They have that fresh, same service over there at Fresh Chef Eats. FreshChefEats.com is where you can find them online. Fresh Chef Kitchen. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. I was embarrassed about my smile. Are you unhappy at yours? Do you not smile back at yourself? I called my friend, Dr. Spillers, over at Johnson Spillers. He fixed my smile, and now everywhere I go, people are complimenting it after the work that Dr. Spillers and the staff did to my mouth. They can do it to yours. Get in touch with them. JohnsonSpillers.com. 2 locations, one in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easy to find them, JohnsonSpillers.com. All right, welcome back here to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Ghost Chevrolet. That's good stuff by Coach Caskey. Appreciate him being in here on the early version. He'll be back for the extended cuts this afternoon.
Right.
And like we said, we will be talking. Man, he's got some saving in him.
He's good. He does.
He's
He's
got the I-8.
It's a great filler to get to the next.
It's a great
spot,
transition.
too. Yeah, right. And
Especially
we're
in
here.
Football.
in coaching. Yeah, right.
What are we doing, all right?
All right. All right. Everybody good?
Yeah.
All right. All
All
right.
right.
Quit doing that shit, all right?
All right.
I got to tell you one more time, right?
OD.
Did you see Man Campbell's post-game press conference after they lost? Oh, man. I think he cost him. He put his cooker out there for a 54-yard field goal. Probably should have went for it. Nearly cried in the post-gamer.
Well, that's a Man Campbell
that's
special.
Man.
This man's not going for it.
Right.
I guess he's starting to think that they might be a little bit better than he thought. Like maybe we could steal
They
one
are.
here instead of having to go for it. Gets burned by something where he beat himself up all day on that. He didn't-
Peyton Manning again melting last night
Oh,
on
my
clock
goodness.
management. It is incredible to see how bad that part of football is managed by the elite level of
just
coaches.
let
It
the
is
clock
just
run.
it is mesmerizing to think, because that's something that internally you got to know. I'm not good at this,
Look at that
right?
clock.
Like there's never one day that Les Miles ever thought to himself, I'm gonna get this clock thing figured out.
I got this.
Like that was like, I mean, for some people it may be math, for some people it may be English, for some people it may be history of just memorizing. But you've all got that subject that you're like, I can't do this.
all of them.
You know what I mean? Foreign language, whatever it is.
Econ, accounting.
You know, I mean, for me it was math.
math.
Right? Like, I mean, high school, 4 straight summers I went to summer school. Every summer I went to summer school. Couldn't get it, coach.
You
Just couldn't get
not
it.
there.
I mean, it was like looking at Arabic. You know what I mean? Like
bad was that
that's
for
how
you?
geometry was. I made a D
it
in
was
geometry.
just it was just I couldn't overcome it. You know what I mean? And at some point, I mean, it was just
I'm gonna talk for a living.
like for Les Miles, it was like clock management. You know, absolutely. I'm going to speak.
Yeah,
You know,
that-
keep me away from the numbers.
I could talk.
Keep me away from the
Not
numbers. Right. I mean, I tried to BS my way through math. It just didn't.
Let me start writing some stuff down.
Like, everybody asks me around town, are you related to Dr. Brad Culotta? And I'm like, yeah. And there are people like look at me like, man. I'm like, I get it. He got the brains. I got the bullshit. You know what I mean? That's just how that works. He's fantastic at
Put
math.
us in the room together.
But it is mesmerizing to see coaches again at the highest level, and even collegiately at that level, just not have any idea of how to manage a clock within a football game. And I'm not saying that I'm a master at it, but it's much easier to do it in your living room when you're looking at it. But to watch somebody like Peyton Manning watch a football game and see someone mismanage the clock. I mean, if you saw the clip last night, he wanted to do the Ogeron meme on the practice field where O's like pulling his hair out and his ears are like looking like they're going to explode off of his face.
He's like, you got to take a time
I
out.
mean, like,
E.
he's like, we got to call a timeout right here, right?
You gotta call a
I mean,
timeout.
like, why wasn't I calling a timeout? I mean, it is like a panicked person in therapy. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, we're going to talk about this, right? I mean, we got to talk about this.
Hey, they didn't call
we
a
can't
timeout,
just
right,
let
E?
this slide, right? I mean, he is like uncomfortable, like moving around, like fixing, like
Because he
he's
can't
gotta-
do
he's like,
anything.
He can't
He
get
can't do
there.
anything. He can't fix
He can't get there.
They need to have somebody just watching the broadcast
But
in the
it
booth
is-
and be like, hey, dude, Peyton Manning's saying take a timeout. We should probably
Like,
take
yeah,
a timeout.
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah, like,
he's helping us.
Yeah, Peyton's calling a timeout. We should call a timeout, right? Or if I am, like Dayball last night, or if I'm Nathaniel Hackett from the Broncos, or if I was Les Miles, who just couldn't figure out the art of the clock,
Play Madden.
right? Like, I would have someone on staff. I mean, at these types of levels, the budgets are nuts, right? Like, it is not outside of the realm of possibility where you could pay somebody $80,000 a year to just make sure moments like that do not happen to the program. I mean, like an old coach. You know what I mean? For a while there, they tried Steve Cragthorpe out at LSU, where Cragthorpe was in the booth, or he was
Kragen.
right behind. If you go back and watch the 2019 edition of George Munoz, who was Burrow's,
Confidant.
coach, kind of quarterback coach every day, and was somebody that Ogeron really, really trusted. I mean, like, really trusted. He would be in Ogeron's ear telling him, call a timeout. Let the clock run. tell him to spike it. Like telling him how to manage the game. And you know what? I commend Ogeron for that. Of understanding this is a huge weakness of mine, and it could cost us if I don't have somebody in place that knows how to do this. And if you don't, that's the part to me that, like, I never thought I was going to get math. You know what I mean? Like, every math exam I showed up to, I was like, son of a bitch. I am in trouble. Yeah, I mean, I got to find somebody to copy off of. I got to pay somebody to take this thing for me. I mean, what can I do to pass? Because I can't do this. If I was a football coach and couldn't control the clock, like, own it. And get somebody on staff that can do it. Otherwise, you got somebody like Peyton Manning now who's got access to media and the world exposing you. Like, how embarrassing was Monday morning, Tuesday morning for Nathaniel Hackett a couple of weeks ago when you go back and watch Peyton Manning being like, what is he doing?
He hired somebody.
He did?
Yep.
There you go. I mean...
he got a quality control coach to help him manage the clock because he's a first-year head coach, and he knows that, hey, these opportunities don't come by very often. So I'm not going to let this be the reason that I lose this job. Like, there's no limit to the amount of people we can have on staff.
Not only that,
somebody look at that and you buzz me and tell me, all right, timeout, good. All right, cool, perfect.
And not only that, if you've ever sat within a football game, on the sideline, in the booth, around it, it's a circus. There are things going a million miles an hour. There's so many things that are going on that you can be prepared and organized for, but it's still organized chaos down there, right? Where, I mean, like, people are jumping around, people are screaming. You got to have groups of people ready to go. Third downs, you got to get your punt to return team ready. Fourth down, you got to get kickoff, especially. All this stuff's happening on the sideline, communicating very, very fast, and I got to manage the clock. Like, it's a lot of stuff, so I don't think that it's like saying, like, oh, he sucks at his job because he's got a clock manager. No, like, good for him for recognizing that's not something that he does well, and they got the budget to pay somebody. And odds are, at these NFL college levels, there's probably already someone on staff that says, hey, coach, I can do that. Because, like, it's like you are in confident arenas. Some people are like, I can't speak in public, man. Like my cousin, Dr. Brad Culotta. That was something that he had to really kind of like work out. I could roll out of bed, not even understand what the topic is, and stand in front of a room and not feel embarrassed. Just some things that some other people can't do. So there's somebody on that staff that feels very confident that I can manage the clock in a football game. Right? And just say, who does this well? I do. Perfect. Why do you believe that you do it well? Well, I had this experience where we managed the clock here. We ended up winning the game, getting our field goal team out there, managed it well, kicked it with 2 seconds. We won the game. We did, like Manning saying at the TV last night, we can't go to halftime with all of our timeouts. Like he's saying that, like, what it does you no good to take these timeouts to halftime with you. What is he doing? Call timeout. Your wide receivers are all running verticals. They're walking back to the huddle tired. This is why you take a timeout right here. Tick, 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 tick. Then he calls a timeout. And Eli's like, oh, man, I can't believe Pat McAfee's on, and Manning is like, he is uncomfortable. He's like, he can't see, he can't. He's uncomfortable. He's like, I can't believe. Eli, why did they do this? I mean, how did they not know to call a timeout, like Pat Mac, this is absurd. Like over the top of him. But I mean, like Manning is like losing his mind.
Pat's high. He's just enjoying the show. He just wants to be a part of it. Like this is the Peyton and Eli show. Like he has his own thing going on. But whenever you see Peyton like that, it feels like it'd be impossible not to jump in and be like, oh my God, what are we doing here? Because Peyton's loses, like, he played with Peyton Manning. Like, they were on the same team with the Colts. He's like, oh, this would never happen. Like, Peyton would be like, he's like, oh, my God, I've never seen this have to happen before because Peyton's always in control. I wonder. Well,
I'm sure Peyton looks at the sidelines to people that, he's looked over there and been like, he doesn't know what he's doing. I'm going to have to do this. We need a timeout.
Yeah. Right. And that's what that.
And he's probably told him, like, in the meetings on Tuesday morning, like, you're welcome. Like, nobody's bashing you. Like, you want to be what Nathaniel Hackett is? You want to be Les Miles? You want to have people like just like pointing and mocking you when they think of you out there? Just hire someone, bro.
Is this going to drive Peyton into coaching? Like, if he keeps seeing this?
It would. If I was a coach, it would drive me to call him.
Did you see the clip of him coaching his like 6th grade football team? They pulled up a clip of him coaching his 6th grade football team, and they're like in formation. He's giving them like the formation, trips bunch left, like putting them all in the right spots, and they're like, "Hey, they're not in the right spots." And like, I think it's Eli in the back, like just fucking with him. But he's like, "Hey, they're not in the right spots," and he's like, "Yes, they are, Eli. Don't play with me."
Yeah, this is how I want to run it.
This is how I do it.
Could you imagine being a 6th grader on that team or whatever?
Oh my
Be like,
God.
come home exhausted from football practice, like,
Or just like a dad.
yeah, like,
What'd y'all learn today?
It's like, oh man, Peyton's wearing me out, Dad.
I mean, we
Overload?
learned- yeah, 700 protections.
Yeah, bear front. But kick your ass in Madden. Let's hop on the sticks.
Hot route on silent counts?
Yeah. When to call a timeout? Dad, they should call a timeout, right? They should call.
You
it
hire one of those kids.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
But it is. It is amazing to see the incompetence at the highest level, the way that it is on. No other scenario in football can expose a coach faster than clock management. I mean, like, you know right off the bat whether this guy knows what he's doing or he doesn't by the way that he managed the clock. All right, so LSU Auburn this weekend. What a crazy line this has been. Our friends over at Caesar Sportsbook, and I'll check this now. You know that LSU opened up as a point dog in this game. Mm-hmm. Like a week ago, LSU was a point dog. Now, since everything that is happening over on the plains and what's going on over at Auburn, and look, it is just a tire fire over there. I mean, it's a grease fire over at Auburn right now. And like we said yesterday, at some point, you know, Auburn's going to Auburn, and Auburn is Auburning to the 10th degree.
Should have lost Saturday.
Oh, twice.
All he had to do was extend
Twice.
over the pot.
Should have lost twice.
He could have just ran in.
But as we said, LSU opened up as a point dog in this game. It opened the game week as LSU is 7.5 point favorites, and I want to say now that it's at 9.
It is. It was at 9. At least last night it was. It could. I mean, it might get to 10.
See, I thought it was 7.5.
It could go to like 12.
The money is coming in.
It's just rolling in. Nobody has any
any faith in Auburn.
Faith in Auburn, and they shouldn't.
No.
You know, I mean, they really shouldn't, because, I mean, the more that you watch Auburn play, and Coach Caskey will break this down, and he and I were talking a little bit about it. I was talking to somebody else who was tied into Auburn. I mean, no disrespect, but I mean, their roster is so bad.
Yeah.
You know, like they don't have any players, and it's very rare that even when Auburn's kind of screwed up, they always got like 4 or 5 dudes out there that you're like, man, I mean, that cat's going to be a first rounder, or, you know, I mean, he's going to be a high round draft pick.
Tank Bigsby. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
I
all
mean,
they got.
that feels like that's it.
That's it.
You know, I mean, like, they don't have a defensive lineman. They don't have a safety. You know, I mean, they usually have these dudes that you're like, yeah, I mean, they're no good, but they could creep up and get you because they got players. And that is just why I believe, first off, I think LSU catches Auburn at the exact right time. You know, I mean, one thing about college football is that you got to catch some breaks and you got to catch some luck. You know, I mean, it's all about kind of when you catch teams.
Tennessee getting 11 a.m.
In the particular, yeah, right. I mean, you got to adjust to an 11 a.m. home game versus a top 10 opponent in Tennessee. I mean, you know, there's all things about how and when you catch people. And I think LSU catches Auburn at, it feels like going into it, the exact right time, where it feels like game planning for the actual game coming up on Saturday doesn't feel like a top priority of Brian Harsin right now. I mean, he's either in CYA mode, or really and truly, he's probably like calling moving companies. I mean, like, it's over.
It feels like, last year, right? Whenever it didn't take the Kentucky game for, if you're an LSU fan, for like, if you'd have won that game, I didn't feel like his job saved. Like, it felt like that thing was cooked since the UCLA game. Like, just because we know that now, it's easy to say, but there wasn't a lot of wins out there that Coach O could have, like, even if he beats Alabama, like, he knew he was fired.
No, like,
it feels like Harsin kind of, if he doesn't know,
he's got to
have a little self-awareness.
He's got to know. He's got to know because I mean, all of his support.
He never had any.
Is gone. But I mean, like the athletic director, Alan, was it Green? Alan Green, who hired him. I mean, he's been fired. You know, I mean, like, you know, I mean, or he saw the writing on the wall. I mean, they called it, you know, that he was resigning. But I mean, come on.
Yeah, Alan Green.
He was fired. You know, and I mean, that was the guy that brought Harsin in. He went totally against all of the boosters, or at least the majority of the boosters who, you know, wanted their own and wanted to stay within the conference. And, you know, Green wanted to kind of think outside the box, went and got Boise State's coach. And, you know, really, like we said yesterday, Brian Harsin wrote his own death certificate when he came out and said, this is my recruiting plan. And his recruiting plan didn't have anything that existed, like going up against Kirby Smart and Will Muschamp and Florida and LSU and Texas A&M. And it was like, look, man, you can try to win with players like that, but this is the SEC. You can't be quirky. You can't like fake yourself to Atlanta. I mean, you can't run smoke and mirrors and get past the SEC West. It's just not going to happen.
Unless I feel like you have a system like Mississippi State, like Mike Leach can come. I don't know if
he's still got dudes.
Yeah, well, he has. Sure, I mean, I guess but I wouldn't say Mike Leach is out there as like beating his chest as a top 10 recruiter. You know, like that's not his thing. You might have a staff put together, but at least he has a system. You got to have something. Either have a system or go get the best talent in the country. You can't have neither. You can't just be Brian Harsin. Hey, I won a couple of games at Boise State, and it was easy there. Like I was under the radar. Ooh, Boise, 10 wins, like 9 wins. Like that's great. And I think it was kind of doomed from the start because it was an out-of-the-box hire. Like Auburn has to either find out who they are or realize who they are, you know? Because if your fan base consistently, I don't know how their fan base feels, but there's years where Auburn feels like they should be competing for, you know, a national championship. You're in the SEC West, like you're a name, but it feels like they haven't been that way in football in a long time. They did it immediately in basketball. Like they're not a basketball school. Hire Bruce Pearl. Now you are a basketball school. You know, like there's ways. Like Brian Harsin ain't getting it done. For your when you enter a league with Brian Kelly, I was about to say Urban Meyer. Oof. Kirby Smart, Nick Saban. Like you have Jimbo. Like even Jimbo, it's a name. It's a guy that like are established coaches in the league. It's gonna be hard for anybody to break through. Like Shane Beamer is young and exciting, but you can still see how he struggles. But he's gonna have to build that thing. Yeah. But at least they have some promise going forward. Brian Harsin never felt like he had a shot.
I mean, the thing about Auburn is that you can win there.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Like Auburn's a gig. You know what I mean? Like it's a spot. The thing about Auburn that everybody in the coaching community says is that you better go get it quick. You know what I mean? Because they just they're their own worst enemy. I mean, really. And look, LSU's had that reputation before. LSU's had that reputation where you know they kind of eat their own. You know, like they'll tap you out, and they it's like, do you want to win or not? You know, like what's the real objective here? Are you trying to appease a certain demographic, a certain do you want to ultimately win at this thing? And those are questions, I agree, that you have to answer within. Like, who are we? What's the expectation? You know, like we can't keep bringing people in here, keeping them for, 3-4 years. And I know Malzahn outlasted a lot of people, but you know what I mean? Like every single year you were firing or buying him out. You know, like fire, buyout, or paying extensions. I mean, it's just a very toxic.
Gus was living a life.
He was. No, I mean, like he was. Gus is laughing and smiling all the way to the bank. But
how much?
I mean, his career, his tenure was so just. You just never knew, man. It was like walking on lily pads. You know, I mean, you feel like you got a little stability here, and then you just fall straight to the bottom.
Was he their coach when they had Jeremy Johnson as a quarterback? The guy that was supposed to be like the next Cam Newton, and then he ended up being really bad.
Yeah,
he flashed. But how much money do you think they've spent if they would have spent it the correct way, where they could have had a coach like Somebody in the chat said, "Go get Hugh Freeze." That's the answer, right? Go get a certified winner.
Yeah. Go get Hugh Freeze.
Can he coach in the SEC though? Like, are they still?
I
like,
would think the
still...
show calls is cleared now, man. I mean, like,
Greg's kind of weird.
I'm just if the NCAA tells me no, I'm doing it anyway. Like, he's gonna come show up to campus and coach. What y'all gonna do? Shut the program down?
I just don't know what. I mean, come on. What are you, the moral police, or are you the NCAA? You know what I mean? Like, let the guy. He can coach football. Let him coach. He's paid his dues. He's paid his penalty.
He didn't. I just think girls to come over.
I think that LSU
got caught before.
LSU is catching Auburn at the exact right time, and for as well, Auburn they got a lot of stuff to figure out. LSU can use this as a springboard into the month of October of, gaining more confidence, figuring yourself out. I mean, what was the storyline for LSU a couple of weeks back? Identity problems, identity issues. Who are you? You know what I mean? Like, where do you want to go? And personnel changes, Harold Perkins, Emory Jones, Greg Brooks, get Joe Fuchsia back this week. You know what I mean? You're kind of starting to find your footing and get that confidence and identity that you've been looking for. And if you go into Auburn and, as we said, the spread is now at 9, according to our friends over at Caesar Sportsbook. Download the app, QR code in the top right of your screen. Use the promo code FMFULL, letter F, letter M, full. You go in there, you win, cover, you win by a couple of scores. I mean, that's a fun ride home. That's a fun plane ride home.
Great teaser opportunity here. Just buy the 6.5 points. You have to combine it with another game. That's it. They both have to win. That's what a teaser is. You buy 6.5 points. Get LSU down to under 3. I mean, go in there, get a win.
You lose some value there, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the juice goes up to, I think it's minus 130. So you have to pay, it's like 30 to 120, essentially, if that's how you want to do it. But that feels better than 9. You might be sweating that sucker out. I mean, it's still Auburn at night in Jordan Hare. That bird's going to fly around. You might, LSU, it feels good now because of how it's looked, but then you have to realize the quality of competition that they played has not been great. Like, the Mississippi State game is the only thing that you could point to. Florida State looked bad. Mississippi State, that's a great win, but it's at home, so you're able to, this is the first true road test-ish, but it feels like we were kind of assuming that LSU's going to go in there and take care of business, but, you can't really take too much away from the wins against New Mexico and Southern. But that's just a little bit of recency bias.
Hard to pitch a shutout, Coach.
Yeah, I'm with you. But I wouldn't say it's a done deal just because this is the SEC. You saw Florida and Tennessee. Like, anything can happen. You saw A&M. And,
oh, my goodness.
A&M and App State. Like, that you're the better team probably. But this thing ain't all the way, especially if you're going to add 9 to it. So just get it down to 2.5.
All right, we'll come back with the second hour here. We got the Carpool Queen is here. She has managed her way through traffic of Baton Rouge to find the noodle, and will be in with us here in the second hour. We're going to talk to Josh Pate of Go 247. We'll get lay of the land of the SEC coming up with him in a couple of minutes. That'll be around 8:30 this morning. And we'll talk more SEC football and LSU Auburn matchup. Come back with the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Sports with it.
It's just like anything else. I mean, I don't want to get into hyperbole, but it's, everything is. I mean, frankly, I'm still worried more about concussions. We don't talk about it much anymore, but, we've kind of helped solve it in a lot of ways and make the game a lot safer. So anytime we have existential threats, which this one could or could not be, we just deal with it, and we will deal with it. It's just part of the game. And, I don't mind a lot of what's come out of this movement of doing more for the student athletes, but like anything else, it boomerangs a little too far And you got to swing it back into what we do for the student athletes. And it's a hell of a lot. And I'm proud of that fact that we are leaders in doing that. But we're going to do it right. The Tiger Athletic Foundation and in partnership, obviously, hand in hand with what we do, funded a master plan study because I wanted to see, hey, what we needed, and I just didn't want my opinion. I've been a few places, and I have a good one, I think, but you just want to see how and what our needs are, and so we're in that process of looking at it, and obviously the PMAC is 50 years old this year, and probably needs some updating. It's got good bones, and maybe we can see what we can do with that. Same thing with all that, property that we have both down Nicholson and where we are currently on Nicholson and North Stadium. Is that, hey, is this the proper use and best use for that? Mm-hmm. And hand in hand with the university and what we do with TAF, we'll make those decisions, and we'll be prudent and thinking about what and how we do. Yeah, it's kind of weird in a perverse way, Jordy. You know me well, is that I kind of relish it. I do like it. I'm one of the few people that embraces it, and we're very lucky at LSU to have it, to be where we are and to be able to do that. I mean, I can't say that for everyone in the business because it is unsettling in a lot of ways, but for us, change is a good thing, and I think we're going to be the beneficiary of it, and it's not gonna stop. It's just going to keep on going. Yeah. And I'd be lying to you if I told you I had a crystal ball and could tell you what was going on, what's going to happen. But it's we're going to be here, and we're going to embrace it, and we're going to take advantage of it the best we can.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacey,
Greg Brooks.
Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team. Make a difference. Bet. Let's get it done.
Best athlete to come out of New Iberia, Mark Roman?
Kayshawn Buddha.
Kayshawn? Wow.
Right now, Kayshawn, Mark was a little bit before me. I was a ball boy. When Mark was playing at New Iberia Senior High School, I played like right after Mark. But has done some things, and just the things that you guys are seeing Kayshawn do, that he's not even scratching the surface of what we saw on a day-to-day basis at practice. He's unreal. He's unreal.
He's so natural. It's so so easy. It looks so easy to him.
Yes, it's so easy, and there's never been another a competitor I've ever seen like Kayshawn. Kayshawn would not lose going to eat pregame meal. He has to be the first. He is the ultimate competitor. He would not lose. So trust me, he will be ready.
Man, so kind of when I entered the transfer portal, I knew, what type of facility, what type of, program I wanted to go to. Being that before I committed to Ohio State, my first unofficial was to LSU.
Oh, wow.
And but that was when Coach O and Coach Raymond was here or whatever. But definitely the coaches, the scheme Kelly, trying to bring in, trying to implement, his way of going, like detailed person. That's where I wanted to be. I know I want to be.
Did you have any experience with Coach Kelly?
No, I had no experience. No.
Really? Who was your main recruiter from LSU?
Sherman Wilson. Yeah, he was. Stay consistent. Honest. Just gave it to me straight.
Yeah.
And this is where I wanted to be.
How do you feel about that number at this university playing that position?
Yeah, man, I definitely want it. I definitely. You want to come in and improve, to my teammates, not just the coaches, but to my teammates that I got to go play with, that, I deserve it. And once I do that, then, everything is, up from there.
We're all from different.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Carpool Queen is here. Jamil is here. Mom. How are we feeling this morning? Mom?
Mom?
How was the traffic?
It was not bad today.
Did you drop Kyle off this morning?
Where?
He was sitting on the front steps
Yeah.
when I got here.
I
He
was.
was like just sitting there like a kid at
Well, I was
school.
on WAFB.
Yeah, Jordy's in here on
I had
WAFB.
the thing locked.
It was
Kyle
so
was just
funny.
sitting on the steps just
with
like,
his coffee and breakfast for everybody,
No.
and he was just sitting there. I was like,
with
"What
this,
is he doing?"
with this little tablet just
Uh-huh.
chilling.
Wait,
He was
who
ready
was
for
the
class.
guy that I thought might have been homeless out there that day?
Aaron Murray.
Yes. I was like, hey, are you okay?
Wait, Lloyd, you don't remember that?
I don't think I
Aaron
was
Murray
here.
He was waiting on an Uber.
Oh yeah, you might have been like out of town. Whenever you went out of town, Aaron Murray comes here for an interview.
And I was
Aaron
He's
Murray
sitting
doesn't look
outside.
homeless.
No,
He's sitting outside, and
it
Katie's
wasn't.
like, "Who is that homeless guy sitting on our step?" And we were
He
like,
was just out there with the
Aaron
backpack
Murray.
on, not
Yeah.
in here. And I had walked in from carpool, so I was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Y'all, there's a guy." They were like, "This is so embarrassing."
See, the only experience I had was that fucking psychopath that was all cranked out on meth running around saying somebody was chasing him with a gun and if he could come inside. And I said, "Get your ass, keep running, bro. Don't come over here." Like, what are you thinking? You think I'm gonna say yes? Like,
What
yeah,
about
come
the-
hide
what
out.
about- What about the neighbor's dog attacking Joe?
Yeah.
I mean,
That was terrifying.
Stuff that goes on around here.
What happened?
You never know who's going to be out there.
Never
it could
know.
be someone famous, or it could be someone
It
homeless.
could be Aaron
someone
Murray.
trying to kill you.
Could be somebody that just literally just did bath salts and was bleeding from all over his face, and there was nobody with the gun chasing him. And I was like, that guy just he's having a hell of a day. That's like all in his head.
That trip is not
Yeah.
well.
Maybe he's
Government
having
Street, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Hey,
Who knows, bro? Take
White-
your life in your own hands.
White Light Night coming up.
I literally watched a car.
I'm out.
I watched a car drive sideways down Government before.
Really?
Yes, it was like a truck. I don't know what was going on. Jamil was in the car. She could tell you. She could tell you.
Yeah.
This truck was driving sideways, like literally, like sideways. And we were like,
Does that even happen?
"Are we just high, or is this like serious?" Like,
Should we be close
Both.
to this car?
both. Yeah.
I mean, I was pulling in the other morning, like early morning. They had three people walking. They had three people moving down the street. Two were walking. One was in a wheelchair, and they were still partying from the night before. I mean, it was
Still on
early,
one,
bro. I mean, I'm telling you, Government Street's crazy.
It is crazy.
Spray paint.
Yeah, we're
Spray
marked.
paint. And then 3 blocks down, same code.
Hell
Same
yeah.
spray
So
paint.
we're in it.
And the
Same spray paint on
one
the side
behind,
of the house.
Lloyd.
Behind Billy Harriman's on Perkins, there's the same message or whatever.
Wow.
Marked.
Yeah.
One of the 8
I wonder if
recognized gangs finally by our city's leaders.
Okay,
wonder
wait, I
if
got
we're-
a tip last night
About what?
about what's going on around here, and it came from someone pretty reputable. I'm not going to say anything about it, but
sources.
I can't say my sources.
Sauces.
But this person talked to someone that is involved in the FBI or in the FBI, and they said that this might be a serial killer that we're dealing with in Baton Rouge. I'm not
Where? For what?
kidding. The recent things that have happened in people's cars.
Oh, well,
That's what they're saying.
Oh no, I saw that they claim that it could be a serial killer that's shooting people in the interstate in New Orleans East.
No, they said
Oh, we
it
got
was
2 of them?
The girl.
They should
up
team
the
up.
street and the other guy in his car. That's what they're saying. And they're supposedly dotting their I's and crossing their T's before
Not
they
me.
talk more about it.
I mean,
but
there's an
I
FBI
didn't-
field office in New Orleans.
I didn't live here during Derek Todd Lee. I got here after that, but like, I mean, y'all.
Oh, it was crazy.
Surely not.
Who's he going after? What's his type?
It seems like people in cars.
Oh shit.
People alone in cars.
Damn, that could be me.
That
Yeah, it could be me too.
My
I'm
kid.
always.
Like-
I'm gonna get a blow up doll.
Yeah.
Put it in my
Yes,
seat.
that is a good idea. You
It
just
is.
put something
Or you could
else
just
in
get a
there.
gun. And just
Yeah, I could get a gun.
Ride around with
I don't
that
know.
thing.
I would
don't
I would
get a gun.
Plexico burst myself so fast. I'd be
Don't
like,
get a gun.
whoops.
Whoops.
Guns are too it's too. The result is not worth it for me to have it.
He didn't even know he shot himself.
I know dude. You know how good he was feeling to not know.
Plaxico?
Yeah, he didn't even know until he walked. He's like, "Damn, I'm fucking wet." Like
Flesh wound. Bro.
Yeah,
Damn, my
Go to
Chuck
the
Taylor's
hosp-
a white
go to the
guy.
hospital. See how this works out for me.
yeah. I think I'm dead.
Yeah.
I know about the league.
Don't do that, Plax.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't go to the hospital.
Don't do
You
that.
got to go to the vet.
Don't do that. All right,
yeah, I
everybody
would
talking
shoot
about
myself
Coach
on accident.
Mulkey. Stewie was in the room
Yeah.
yesterday.
I was there.
Jamil was in the room.
Jamil was heated yesterday. Kimulke's her girl.
Really?
Yeah, she was hot.
Okay.
I mean, the guy walked her into the question.
You got to get a mic. Gotta get a mic.
Come on over here.
Get in here. Gotta get a mic. Stewie, give me the 411. What was yesterday?
Pop the glasses on.
So they're talking about
glasses on, shoes off.
Kim Mulkey's talking about her new team, and everybody's asking questions about the new team. And then this guy comes in with a question. It was a two-parter.
Cody Diaz?
Cody Diaz.
From The Advertiser.
That's Lafayette.
Yes.
Lafayette.
He says he has a two-parter. First part's about the team. Second part's
the old buddy Sanji.
Yeah. Second part.
Coach, I got two.
Yeah. He's like, oh, well, how will you put together this team or whatever like that? And then he goes on and he's like, and also, do you have any comment about the Brittany Griner situation? And Mulkey fires back.
Well, I heard him say, you haven't said anything about this.
Yeah, and she was like, and I won't. And you won't hear me say anything.
Her response was
everybody in the
vintage
room was like,
Mulkey.
What was her face like when the
she
was
cut
asked?
eyes at him.
You saw it. I mean, it's on video. You can see
I'll
it.
have to check it out.
You can see her eyes, and then she kind of quickly addressed him.
Did you jump up there, Jamil, and defend her?
No, but I wanted to. Like, I was on Twitter. I just wanted to just talk so bad. I was like, because I think that people were taking it out of context. Like, she doesn't have to say anything.
Yeah, right.
Necessarily.
Exactly.
But then, like, the stuff that happened at Baylor and all that stuff, and then she had came and talked to one of us and was just saying, like, the situation with her and Brittany Griner. So, I mean, she doesn't have to say anything in reality.
Is there
people have been asking for her to say something for a while.
Is there a scarier? I don't know about scary, but more imposing coach to like, all right, I have a question that people and you're like,
maybe Brian Kelly back in like 10 years ago.
Yeah, Saban.
You know, Saban.
Oh,
for
Popovich,
sure.
just because he's a dick.
Saban for
I don't
sure.
know, Brian Kelly now. I'm scared of him.
Bob Stoops called me out in a press conference in 2003. I asked him.
How old were you?
I was probably 22. 21.
Don't know what you don't know. Feel I put my hand
Absolutely.
up. Yeah,
I'm still an LSU
I was there
fan.
with
Jimmy Ott. Jimmy Ott sent me.
Gave you a credential.
2000. It was at the 2003 national championship.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I asked him like some question of like the proximity of the game, like almost being a home game for LSU, and how do you?
Classic easy one to get out there.
Absolutely, but I asked it like I kept answering my own. I was very young, you know what I mean. I'd ask a question, answer it. Ask a question, answer it. Ask a question. Coach, I know that Baton Rouge is close to New Orleans, and that could be a home game for LSU. Is that something that you're telling your team about that they may have to be judging against? And I mean, Baton Rouge is only an hour from here. Their fans aren't really you can see him just like, come on, kid. Like shut the
get it out,
wrap it up.
Come on. And like inside, I'm just like melting. You know what I mean? I'm just like I can't stop talking. Because I want to like
fix it,
cover up.
I'm trying to fix this,
and
like
how dumb I sound.
I'm making it worse,
right?
I'm making
it
worse.
Bob Stoops was like, I have no idea what you just asked.
Oh no!
We are all now dumb.
Yeah, right. And I mean, I don't know if I asked a question at a press conference for like another 6 or 7. Like I remember the first time I did after that, I was like, kind of like my voice was just kind of like shaking a little bit, like
I'm shook.
So, yeah, like I was shook. Of like, man, I can't be embarrassed like that ever again. And
I don't know what you just asked me.
Is Diaz older kid? Is he a kid?
No,
I mean not a kid, but I mean is he
he's
young?
a middle-aged male.
Young? Oh, he's not. He's an older guy.
Yeah, he's an older guy.
So
He looks like he's like 30s in his 30s.
He knew better.
Yeah, he for sure knew better. Coming from Lafayette.
I do that sometimes.
Was he trying to?
Like the way he asked the question was like, at first he asked about the team, then he's like, one more.
Yeah.
You want to say something about Brittany Griner?
But then on Twitter, he like had tweeted it in that way, in that context, and then went back and was like, Kimo, he got hit in the face with the ball today in practice, and everybody was like, oh, Karma worked pretty fast today.
Yeah.
She did get hit in the face with a ball.
I thought that's what everybody was talking about at first. I was like, what? I was like, I figure this has happened before.
Well,
like,
that happens
all the time.
More than people will.
It happened to LeBron.
All the time. Yeah, it happens all the time.
And I was like, can't be the reason that she's going viral right now. And I was like, unless it like
getting
knocked
hit in
her
the
ass
face with
out.
the
Yeah, I thought it was like bad.
It hit her pretty hard because she was like wiping her face after. So it hit her pretty hard.
Well, like her eyes were watering.
Yeah.
But that turns out it was not that. It was something else.
Yeah. And then she kind of went talk to him during the open practice. I don't know what was said, but she did go give him a few words. And she was very close to him.
He probably walked out of there with his tail between
She
his
told him
legs,
in the
I
press
would think.
conference, she was like, "What's your name?"
Oh, no.
Every single press conference after this.
Yeah, she's like, you better be at every single press conference. Like, serious.
Ooh.
I was like,
She didn't play.
I'm not coming anymore.
Yeah.
I won't be here anymore.
That's what should happen. It should just be Kim and Cody.
Yeah.
Everybody else is done showing up.
Nobody else show up.
I'm uncomfortable here.
Did y'all?
Jock's gonna show up.
Did
Get
y'all
that
talk
footage.
about the
Glenn
possibility
Gilbo.
of the Auburn game being moved here?
We've
at
not.
all?
We've
You've
not. We've
Because
not.
well, the reason I bring it up is because didn't this happen? I was asking David today. I was like, if the game gets moved here, do we get
Florida
to use our
2016.
tickets and go to the
Yeah,
game?
Florida. No, the South Carolina game in 2015.
I knew.
Leonard went ham.
And then
just
tried-
went nuts.
But how did that go? Like,
Donated
there
his
was a
jersey
hurricane
after.
He gave him his
coast and
jersey.
South Carolina
No,
needed to come
actually
here?
South Carolina flooded.
Okay.
South Carolina
Okay.
experienced like crazy floods, and I mean it was wild, and they could not house or host a college football game, and so they turned LSU into the home venue that weekend, but South Carolina was the home team. If you remember,
Okay.
Leonard wore the white hat, purple
jersey,
top,
white
white
pants,
bottoms, and Leonard, his jersey is still sitting in that room where we went and watched Brian Kelly do the Rotary,
Yeah.
the Baton Rouge Rotary
In the South Stadium.
yeah, where O said Calder.
Yeah.
That in that South Stadium expansion, they still have the South Carolina jersey from that day because Leonard did something. He donated something back and was able to get some type of benefit for the flood victims there. And then they had the hurricane a couple of years ago when Joe Oliva was trying to be a nice guy and like moved the game here and ended up being like the villain. Like, I mean, he ended up like screwing it up so bad. And that ultimately was the game where Geis went the wrong way on the goal line and they got beat at the end of the game. Where they played, did they play 3 straight years at home?
At home, yep.
Because they had moved the game to Baton Rouge.
And it was like,
they kept the next game on the schedule. And I don't know why the other game, maybe that was why it moved here. But this is nothing new.
I know,
you know what I
but
mean?
how does
Like,
it work? Like, how do we go and watch the game? Because, like,
oh,
technically...
I mean, all of that will be worked out. But it was surprising for me to see because the decision was made for South Carolina like on Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday, and the game was not. There was nobody there. Like, I mean, like there was people there, but I mean, it was. I thought like it would have been a home LSU football game. I mean, like it's Wednesday of game week. Where's everybody going? Like, what do you have to do? You know,
I think because you don't have your tickets.
yeah, but
right?
I thought that there was like they were making the ticket and were going to donate portions of the tickets from the game. Like it was all going back to aid.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know how that works.
I can't imagine what it takes to work that out in like a few days' time.
That's the thing is if if it hasn't been decided yet and it has to be decided on like Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't want to work here anymore.
This is Hurricane Ian.
Yeah.
And it's barreling down, right?
It just upgraded to a Category 3.
Ugh.
So it's because of this cold front is what they're saying, like it's going to kind of sit there. But everybody's saying, like, well, it's not really going to hit Auburn. But, I mean, we don't know.
It's
like,
probably
these
going to
things
just rain.
shift.
They'll
Like,
probably get a lot of rain.
A lot
of
rain.
rain, but
probably
I mean.
a muggy game.
Too much uncertainty.
Them Auburn LSU games in the rain.
Can they move the kickoff back at the Tennessee game? If that thing takes
That'll-
a little bit of a
that'll
left
fix
turn.
It should.
That'll fix it all.
Yeah.
But Brian Kelly was asked about that yesterday on whether or not that they had those conversations, and he said that they have. And he said they're prepared to move the game if that happens to be. I don't think that they'll move this game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is you know, to rip away a home football game from a athletic department, it better be a dire circumstance because there's just so much money. I mean, there's just, you know, I mean, I hate to make it so trivial of, you know, life and money, but it comes down to it. And if there's really no life being threatened, they're going to make the money. And even if there is a slight chance of life being threatened, I still think that they would take the money. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if it was like an emergency situation where they were like, look, there's no way we can play this game.
Yeah.
I mean, Gainesville 2017, South Carolina 2015, you couldn't play a game.
Right.
I mean, the streets were falling apart in
Yeah.
South Carolina due to flooding.
Gainesville wasn't so bad that year.
But it was the storm, right? It was like it was a huge storm.
The storm was like the week before, and then on Saturday it was like sunny and like,
It was.
Well, the problem with Florida was that all of the emergency officials were dispatched out to the hurricane areas, and they couldn't have had the proper security on campus to house, 120,000 people, 100,000 people. So, yeah, I mean, look, I think these are scenarios that are all being discussed, and I think that they'll be prepared for it. And, whether it's a good or a bad thing for LSU, they've got experience in it.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done this before.
Could they do it in the Dome? Could they put it in the Dome?
Probably not, because where do the Saints play this weekend?
Here, right? Wait.
I'm off the Saints right now.
maybe
We're on a break. They owe me free tickets.
You're on a break with them?
Yes.
Like I'm on a break with MSU?
Yeah, it's a home game.
It is? Okay.
Who do they play?
The Vikings.
You got to put.
They'll lose to them.
You got to put them up in hotels.
Yeah.
You got to travel.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get. I mean, there's just the logistics of a college football game are crazy.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, pregame meal.
Right.
How are they going to eat?
Post-game meal.
Like
could they
post-game
make it
meal.
up this season if they didn't switch it?
If you're LSU, you don't want to move Auburn. You don't want to catch Auburn later in the year. They might figure it out. They might get
That
things
bye
right.
week before
You know what I
Alabama
mean?
would be the only
No
time.
chance.
No
No way
shot.
that's gonna happen.
Saints are in London.
Oh, now it's a Category
right.
4.
Oh,
They are in London.
That's
It's a
not where
Category
the dome
4?
is, Jamil.
I swear it just went to 3.
when I looked at it, it said at Saints.
Wait, are
That's
they
why I
gonna?
thought-
They're the home team.
Saints is the home team.
Is this the first game since the Queen's dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Are
is.
they gonna do something weird like on the field?
I thought about that this morning. I wondered if they would.
They might.
Moment
Kick
of
for the
silence
crown?
for the Queen, and the Saints are just throw the rock. Like I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Straight Jamar chase him.
And do surprise onside kick.
James would be like, Queen? Who's the Queen?
Oh, I didn't know that a man could be a queen. What do you think about your knees is?
50% chance of rain at Auburn on Saturday.
Okay.
And I'm moving that game.
For now, unless something shifts, right? It's a hurricane.
I mean, the hurricane's tracking towards like Central Florida, right?
Yeah.
Like Orlando.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the latest. Call your boy, Colorado.
It's
Yeah.
getting stronger. Is the scary thing.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
The spaghetti models. It's going straight. I love the spaghetti models.
I know.
It's going straight through Jacksonville, and I know we've had this debate about Miami in relation to where Jacksonville is.
Jordy thought it was in the Panhandle. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. We're just gonna hop on over to Miami.
But it's going just left to Miami. It's gonna go straight through Jacksonville, and then it seems like it's gonna be in a little bit of Atlanta, a little Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's gonna hit. I don't know where Auburn is, Alabama. Oh, so it goes
like an hour and a
Louisiana,
half from
Mississippi,
Atlanta.
Alabama. So we're cool. I don't think the game will get touched.
We'll be all right.
All right, we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk more about the SEC weekend next here with Josh Pate from Go247. Remember, you can get over to GoFlow today, GEAUX, flowiv.com, and use the promo code Jordy to save yourself 15% on your initial visit over there. If you sound like Lloyd, if you look like Lloyd, if you're trending like Lloyd, get over to GoFlow for God's
I did. I
sakes.
went yesterday. It should work. It'll kick in.
GEAUX, flowiv.com. Use the promo code Jordy. Let them get you healthy. Let them get you right.
I should have done 2.
Bernard said if the Brits are sad about the Queen, wait until they see the Saints offense.
Right? I mean, this is Saints versus the Vikings. Wait till you see Kirk Cousins throw a dirt ball.
And Kirk Cousins wants his kid
Gross.
he's raising his kid to have like a like an English accent.
You
So he'll be right at home.
He's raising his kid to have
Yeah, he wants him to have like an accent. So
Get outta here.
No,
That's
Kirk
weird.
Cousins is the weirdest person on the
That's
goddamn planet.
Did he marry a
No, he just thinks it's cool.
Get outta here.
Kirk Cousins also
Look it up.
wears button-up Walmart shirts.
That is some rich kid problems right there.
That kid's
bro.
gonna get beat up so badly
Oh my
in
God.
school.
What do
Like,
you mean that's a fake accent?
yeah, but it's gonna be a real one.
Hello,
if he's, yeah, hello, governor. If
Yeah,
he,
well, I
like,
mean, not if you're teaching him the accent.
right, but for him, it's when he's 20, he's gonna be like, "This is how I've taught
Would you
my
like
whole
some
life."
tea?
Yeah, a spot or tea and a biscuit. And it's like
He hit me in me bum.
Yeah, gonna game of football. Dad.
That's so bizarre.
Me mum.
He's probably real broken up about the Queen. Kirk Cousins' revenge game. His Queen's dead.
What are you wankers doing?
Yeah.
Josh Pate next.
They only drink tea, no coffee. He does cook his steak in tinfoil, like on the grill for real. Like he puts.
Is that a British thing?
No, Kirk does. Like instead of putting it straight on the grill, he puts tinfoil down first.
Ew.
Yeah, he's
So you're
just a
just
fucking
eating the meat,
loser.
basically.
I mean, I can't help him. If he would listen, maybe. What a bum.
Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com.
Looking to book a dumpster but no idea how? We've made it quick and easy for you. Check out our website at moralesrolloffs.com. Let Morales Roll-Offs know your desired delivery date, and finally, provide your contact details. To make payment, look out for an email invoice with all your booking details. On delivery day, our driver will notify you through text and email that your dumpster is ready and on the way. Now you know how easy and convenient it is. Call Morales Roll-Offs at 225-427-0000 for your dumpster.
Hey, Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at JordyCulottaShow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
I was embarrassed about my smile. Are you unhappy at yours? Do you not smile back at yourself? I called my friend, Dr. Spillers, over at Johnson Spillers. He fixed my smile, and now everywhere I go, people are complimenting it after the work that Dr. Spillers and the staff did to my mouth. They can do it to yours. Get in touch with them. JohnsonSpillers.com. 2 locations, one in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easy to find them, JohnsonSpillers.com. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health. over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. Stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Donaldson. All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Our good friend Josh Pate, who is the host of Late Kick Live that you can catch on his YouTube channel over at the Late Kick with Josh Pate. That is Sunday tonight, Tuesday nights, and Thursdays, 7 o'clock Central Time. Catch up with the greatest college football news, man. It's the best. Go in there and learn all about the sport real quick, and then come here on the Culotta Show. We get him, or try to get him, at least once a week to break down what's going on in and around the game. Josh, good morning. How are you, buddy?
I noticed you caught yourself there, and you said try to get him, and which is apropos because, look, my family doesn't even successfully get me once a week sometimes. So it's not a knock on you. It's just it's hard, man. I'm like trying to nail Jell-O to the wall.
No, bro, I get it. I'm the one sending the text. I'm the anger one here in the relationship. I'm the one that's tracking you down all the time, Josh.
How we been, though? I mean, it's been 2 weeks. How we been down there?
We're good. I think LSU's getting an identity. I think they're kind of starting to figure themselves out. They got some personnel things that are working out for him. Harold Perkins on defense, Emory Jones on the offensive line. What'd you learn about LSU over the last couple of weeks?
Well, what you're saying there. So it's what I've learned is an extension of what you're saying. It's really funny, isn't it, how if you'll just give people a few weeks and not draw conclusions after week one, it's funny how things tend to sort of sometimes, I don't know, settle into place. And that doesn't mean that there's not another loss or two or whatever on the schedule, but it does mean very rarely, for better or for worse, are teams just what they are in week one. Mm-hmm. This is, remember, a sport where we don't play preseason games. And so some weird stuff can happen week one. What I think is it's really important after that week one result when the internal response didn't match the external response for LSU. That was key for them. And it's indicative of a culture that's solidifying itself. That stuff doesn't happen overnight, but it's a really good sign of maturation for the program when you just got the response that you wanted immediately. You know, everyone else freaked out when they lost to Florida State. They just kind of went back to work. And that's what you do because you got 11 more of them to play. And I thought, look, Jordy, when I looked at that Mississippi State game, I said this on our show, and I'll reiterate it now. I had some scouting types back in the summer tell me to look at that game because they didn't know about the personnel LSU had brought in at corner. And they said, look, you're going to hear good things about those guys in camp because that's what people say in camp. But if they're not the real deal, Mississippi State will go in there and just shred them. And so when that game came and went, and they ended up, I know they had to come back to win, but it was in the end pretty convincing. But when they held them to what they did offensively, I thought that was a really big deal. To me, that was the biggest tell of anything. And so now we move forward, and I think when I look at their upcoming schedule, the Auburn game, I'm not saying anyone ever built it up to be a Super Bowl, but certainly it's a lot more favorable spot for LSU maybe than even you would have thought a month ago. And so you're starting to see a settling in now, and that's all that you could hope for is seeing a settling in. And now you take your chances. I mean, that's what year one was always going to be to me under Brian Kelly.
Most impressive thing that I've seen up to this point has been the defense. It's been Matt House, the adjustments that he's made. They could not get off the field on third down versus Florida State. Since then, they have been tremendous on third down defense, and really, like we've talked about a little bit, some personnel changes and some added depth in some area. I mean, you know, Mason Smith was a killer, but they've been able to get up to this point and shown that they've been able to not replace him, but at least find some production there.
Well, that was my big takeaway from the Mississippi State game, and just in general now. I mean, I spent an inordinate amount of time actually talking about Matt House. I think I said his name. I probably didn't even say Brian Kelly's name because I thought it was that big a deal. And when Mason Smith went down, remember how you felt in the moment. Just go back. If you're listening or if you watched the game, remember how you felt, and remember how a lot of your a lot of your 2022 expectations for what LSU could be defensively were probably based around having Mason Smith be an integral part of that up front. And all of a sudden, when you see him go down on some freak injury, by the way, when you see him go down, remember how you felt. Because here's how I felt. And here's how I think a lot of people felt. Well, there goes my expectation for LSU's defense.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did it not happen that way, it really quickly you've already seen adjustment. Now they're going to miss him, but it wasn't as detrimental. It wasn't this huge death blow to your expectation that maybe it seemed like in the moment, because that was a really deflating, disheartening moment. I remember how I felt vividly. And so, yeah, man, Matt House, dude, that's a huge round of applause you got to deal out for the first half of the season.
Josh, what's going on at Auburn? I think that LSU catches them at the exact right time for a team that's gaining confidence, or like LSU, that to go to Auburn this week. But how bad is it?
Really, really, really bad. I was in there last week or week before last, and I had some people who are kind of pretty inside there. They said, of course, it's not a matter of if it's or when, it's just a matter of if at this point. Brian Harsin will be out. And that was after the Penn State game. So the Penn State game changed everything radically.
Yeah.
And what he did was he had built up some equity over the spring and summer, thought he had built up a lot of goodwill. He did a lot of public speaking, which he normally doesn't do. And that was all aimed at, or in my opinion, it was all aimed at buying himself some leverage in the event that they go 8-4 or 7-5 with a bunch of close losses, where it could be either or, it would be 50-50. That's where he was going to be able to have enough equity to buy himself another year. There is no equity to be built up enough to salvage getting blown out by Penn State. And for all intents and purposes, they lost against Missouri last week. That's not what the scoreboard says, but we saw the game. So he's going to get fired very, very soon. It may be this weekend. I'll tell you what's ignorant, though, for so many reasons. If you're actually, if the Bruce Feldman report was accurate, and I have no reason to believe it wasn't, if it's true that they were going to make their decision based on whether he won or lost the Missouri game, it is some of the most mind-numbing, ignorant things that you could ever be doing to run an athletic department. Because you could tell me, well, look, if he doesn't lose today, he'll lose eventually. Look at our schedule. Yeah, that's true. I also want to ask you this. It's not whether it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to lose another game. Yeah, they're going to lose another game. If you zoom out 50,000 feet, Jordy, is that any kind of logic, or are those any kind of principles you want inside the decision room, inside the circle, the brain trust, if you will, of the people who are actually guiding the athletic department? If you can't look your man in the eye and say, regardless of what happens today, we already know enough about you to know we've made our decision. If you can't do that, if you're gonna do the remember the Titans cop out of, well, if you lose a game, that's when we'll fire you, it's pathetic. And they don't have an AD up there right now. So no one really fully knows who's making the decisions anyway. And I don't know in what order these decisions will be made, but I'm not a big fan of what's happening there right now.
From a player standpoint, the roster standpoint, did you see anything that makes whoever gets the job next an easy transition as far as a nucleus to build on? Because to me, that's another overriding issue, is that they just don't have the dudes.
Well, that was troubling too. And if you were to go into that Penn State game and you were to look at just the overall talent roster based on recruiting, the recruiting and blue chip ratio and some of those metrics, they would tell you you're looking at comparable teams. So then you go and you stand on the sideline and you watch the game for 4 quarters, and your eyes tell you these are not comparable teams. The Penn State team over there, ironically, the Big Ten team, looks way bigger, faster, and stronger than the SEC team here. And that's a problem, because that means something's happened once those guys have gotten on campus at Penn State that has not happened when they got on campus at Auburn. And so I don't know what you want to use to look at it, because if you inherit, I mean, if Jordy goes and you're the head coach there tomorrow, you could look and you could say, wow, some of these guys were fairly highly rated. We got a good little nucleus to build on. Or you could look at the actual guys standing in front of you on the field next spring and you could say, that's not exactly what I thought I signed up for. All right, well, this is going to be a little bit tougher rebuild. We're going to have to probably portal ourselves pretty hard in year one, especially lines of scrimmage, perimeter skill. You don't have a quarterback there right now. And so, yeah, other than that, though, really good team there waiting for you in Auburn.
I thought Kent State should have received votes on Sunday morning for keeping it as close as they did versus Georgia, just because I thought Georgia was one of these teams, it felt like, that was trending, that was just going to run away with it. Did they show anything? Did they show any weaknesses to Georgia on Saturday? Did Kent State?
Here's what's impossible to know. It's impossible to know if it was just a total mail-in effort.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't, and if you did get Georgia focused and you hung with them, it's admirable, very much so. Here was my only takeaway with it. And I admit freely as I say this, it could mean nothing at all. But if you start looking down the road with Georgia's schedule, there just aren't a lot of major challenges. Right. There are not teams on their schedule where if Georgia shows up and plays B- or better football, that they're going to stand a chance of losing. There is this stretch of games, though. They play Florida and then Tennessee and then Mississippi State and Kentucky. They play them back to back to back to back. And those last two are on the road at Mississippi State, at Kentucky. Well, people, understandably so, have started to look at the Tennessee game. Now, it's in Athens, but they've started to ask, I wonder if there's a team out there that has this unique potential to challenge Georgia. And, of course, people are looking at the Tennessee passing game, and I understand that. I don't say that flippantly. I know because I'm looking the same way, so I know why they say it. Well, if you look to date at the teams Georgia has played, ironically, Kent State runs what you would call the most similar offense to what Tennessee runs. Mm-hmm. So if you want to start getting yourself excited about a little upset potential, the fact that Kent State, of all teams, had more success than anyone else they've played so far, I would just tuck that away. And if Georgia blows out Tennessee 41-10, I'll never repeat this again. But if it is a close game, you better believe I will bring this up. I'll go back and find this recording, and I'll throw it all over the place, Jordy. You know me.
Just call me. I'll send you the link.
Yes. Like and subscribe.
Tennessee, what did you learn about them this weekend? Ugly at the end, but a nice win, right?
Well, so you said it exactly perfectly there, because that's the difference in this team from last year. Last year, they were all about fast starts, and then they stalled. So basically, you had to get off to a fast start. You had to score 10 or 14 in the first quarter because they plateaued really quickly. Well, the other day, they end up dropping 38 on Florida. They had 3 at the end of the first quarter. So they scored 5 touchdowns in the final 3 quarters of the game. It was 14-10 near halftime in favor of Florida. So they got themselves a score right there towards the end of the half and went up. But the point is, they had offensive consistency, and that's something that's different about this team this year. And the other, and being there in person was pretty glaring to me. The other is they're more physical. They're better. They still have holes defensively. Make no mistake. I think that was exposed the other day. But they are so much more competitively deep. You know, they can afford to put a 2 out there and still not totally go off the rails. Last year, they just had to play the same 22 pretty much the entire game, and it got ugly because that wears you down really, really quick. And so I love where they're trending. They had a ton of recruits in the house the other night. I was there last year for the Ole Miss game, which got ugly in a hurry late. This one was just a nice, clean game, middle of the afternoon, nice sunny weather, and that place was really, really on fire. As good as I've heard Neyland Stadium. Now, if you were to, and I don't want to say this disrespectfully, so please understand my tone here. This is purely theoretical. If Tennessee were to beat LSU next week and they go home and they're undefeated, welcoming Alabama in there, you would feel something around that rivalry you haven't felt since, the late 90s, early 2000s, I guess. I mean, an entire generation. Jordy, there are people with driver's licenses who have never seen Tennessee beat Alabama, which is wild, but it's reality.
The locals are pissed that the Tennessee game is kicking off at 11 a.m. You are outside the forest. We're all up in the trees over here. Do we have an argument?
Yeah, you do. And, you know, if I'm admitting that, it means that it's valid because, number one, it's my company that did it. Number two, I love early kickoffs because I'm selfish about it, because it lets me get home Saturday instead of having to fly home Sunday. So if I'm the one telling you, yeah, you should be pretty pissed off, I'll come up in the trees with you on this. It was ridiculous. I have no clue what the logic was. I didn't even ask anyone to make sense of it for me. Georgia is going to paint the walls with Auburn's blood. To put that game ahead of LSU Tennessee, especially, there's no especially, just on the surface. Look at the helmets on the schedule, and it should be common sense to you. But especially when you look at the quality of play of the teams, I cannot for the life of me explain it to you, and I won't try. But yeah, I would be very, very much aggravated if I were you.
Can you fix
that
it?
That makes me feel better for some reason.
It's like therapy.
Yeah, it was. That was very therapeutic.
Can you fix it, Josh? I feel like you're the one that if anybody went up to the honcho, they would listen to you.
Here's what I'll do. When we get off the phone, I will start a group text with myself, with you guys, pick a representative, and I will bombard management.
Oh, put me on that. I'd love to get on that suit.
I was going to handle that one.
Yeah, for sure. Texas A&M, Arkansas. It was a great game. Arkansas felt like they were the better team, but it did not say that on the scoreboard. What did you learn in Dallas on Saturday?
You and I saw that the same way, and I had to go back and watch it. I was listening to it driving back from Knoxville. And it's funny because I'm not watching that final field goal attempt. I'm hearing it. And if you're watching it, you know that ball hits the very, very top of the upright, and then it just hangs in the air. Well, your eyes could see that, so you didn't need to lay the soundtrack. You should have heard that on radio.
I bet.
Because that ball is suspended in the air for what felt like 3.5 minutes. And, boy, those announcers, man, they're trying to tell you what's happening, but they don't know what's happening because they can't tell if it's going in or if it's falling in the end zone. It was really emotional over the airwaves. And I picked Arkansas in the game. So I got a little too emotionally attached to my pick, and I was yelling the same thing, man. I'm saying, I feel like the better team lost here. Now, that's not what matters. What matters is if you win. So all credit to A&M. For a second consecutive week, offense is not really clicking for them, but they still are good enough as a team to find a way to win, and that's what the game's about. But moving forward, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to this. They go to Mississippi State this week. They opened as an underdog, and that was about 1.5 points. That thing's now at 4. That's crossed the 3-point line. That's Mississippi State -4 now. So I would not advise anyone to just be looking ahead to Jimbo versus Saban, because Jimbo's going to be a dog on the road before he goes and plays Nick Saban. As for Arkansas, they got Bama this week, and I don't know. I think back to that Kansas State loss to Tulane. And in retrospect, I think that's what geared them up to go upset Oklahoma. So Bama has struggled on the road. Arkansas is in wounded animal mode. Crazier things have happened. I'll be excited to watch that one this week. But it's a really interesting next couple of weeks coming up for both of those programs.
Remember the popular question in Atlanta at SEC Media Days, who's the third best team in the conference? You've seen them for a month now. Who's the third best team in the league?
Tennessee is, oh, man, let me think. Hold on. I'm still pretty high on Arkansas. And if I'm going to sit here and tell you I think the better team lost the game last week, it's tough for me to say, all right, well, bump Arkansas down a few spots. So it's between Arkansas and Tennessee for me right now. But if I say Arkansas and then you told me, okay, if they played on a neutral field tomorrow, you'd be picking Arkansas, it would make me so nervous.
Yeah.
So can I just, I don't know. I'm going to flip a coin. Hold on a second. All right, Arkansas. I go Arkansas 3 still right now.
Tails hit?
No, heads hit.
Wow.
Head for Hogs.
Jeff Collins was fired in Atlanta at Georgia Tech, and the athletic director is out too. I'll get you out on this one. Is that a good job? Is Georgia Tech, I mean, it feels like it should be, right? It feels kind of like Tulane, New Orleans. You can recruit there. Is Georgia Tech, is that an appealing gig for people out there?
All right, here's what you have to understand. Everybody knows about the academic rigors there and how it's really, really hard to get guys in, and that's always been painted as a detriment to down the value of the job. And to a lot of people, that's true. You've got to find a guy who understands how to take what is viewed as a challenge and turn it into your strength. So there's this wild stat about Georgia Tech that I think it's the average 30-year-old Georgia Tech grad is a 7-figure per year earner. So you take that stat on the recruiting trail. That's what you don't take how hard it is to get into school. You take that on the recruiting trail. And then you tell them, look, I'm still going to get you to play in Power 5 level competition. You're going to be on national TV. You're going to get a shot at the league. But here's your backup plan, man. Your backup plan is a degree from Georgia Tech. It's going to be a challenge. It very much is. but it's going to be worth it for you. If you find a guy to do that, first off, and then secondly, do what Sam Pittman did and hire an incredible staff when you get in there. That's how you win at Georgia Tech. I thought Collins may be that guy. He wasn't. I still think the job is a little underrated because I think a lot of people view those academics as a weakness, and it doesn't have to be that way.
The Late Kick with Josh Pate. Tuesday nights, it's tonight, Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 7 o'clock Central on YouTube. If you want to learn about college football, you need to subscribe, like, and make sure you keep up to speed with what's happening there with Josh Pate, our friend. Thanks for finding the time this morning, man. We'll catch up soon.
All right, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, man. See you. There's Josh Pate checking in this morning, talking some college football. Interesting stuff. That's an interesting take from a CBS employee, Josh Pate, talking about the decision that the executives made to pass on LSU Tennessee on October 8th and put that Georgia-Auburn game in that slot. I'm telling you, it's because Georgia's the number one team in the country.
That's the only thing that makes any sense at all.
That's it.
And I guess you would say that just because of how LSU has performed in primetime games recently, is that the other thing? Like if you put them, Florida State, the games are still entertaining, I guess, but it has to just be is that like national people would rather see Georgia play? I don't get it at all.
At that. I mean, I don't know how much you look at national numbers if you are an SEC college football television executive because your product is performing so well in a certain area of the country. You're not looking at.
Can't be that.
You're not looking. I mean, I'm not looking at Seattle, Washington to see what Georgia's pulling. I just know that they're dominating Atlanta, Orlando, and the Eastern Shoreboard of probably North Carolina, South Carolina down, and you know what I mean. That's appealing, but I mean, I would think that the game of LSU Georgia would be, like Pate said, a very easy sell in an executive's room of, yes, you have the brand of Georgia here, but you've got a 4-quarter game that feels like will keep the country captivated for a longer watch time because this Georgia-Auburn game, you could get the spread now. What is it 2 weeks out? It's probably 30.
Right. I mean, you don't even have to look at it.
Because what's the LSU-Tennessee game at? 3.5, 3, 2, maybe? You know, I mean, it's maybe a pick 'em.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's going to be as evenly matched or at least an intriguing matchup. So they got it wrong.
And, the fact that they had 2 chances to get it at least somewhat right, and then you just totally picked the wrong answer on the test. They're like A, B, or C, and it's like, I'm going to write in D, 11. And it's like, bro, that's not even that wasn't on the test. Why did you pick that? But, I mean, doesn't it feel like it's not just us in Baton Rouge, it's nationally that a night game in Tiger Stadium has, like, a lure to it, right?
That for sure. Like means something, and I would think that that's not a myth anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like people understand that.
It's going to be close.
I just think they got it wrong.
They got it wrong, and I don't know if they
no, it's sold.
You have so much time still. It's still
like
time.
Jacques is tweeting that out, talking with some inside knowledge because WAFB is the CBS affiliate of this market. So they're getting some type of feedback, right? Like, I mean, for him to quote or at least tweet out what he did yesterday, that like Woodward's pissed, SEC officials are pissed, that somebody from CBS had a phone call with either the league or LSU saying, what the hell just happened?
How?
You know what I mean? Like WAFB's probably thinking from a sales portion like, hey, we know we got that October 8th weekend. It looks really good, like LSU's going to be playing Tennessee at 2:30. That's something that our sales team can get out. As soon as they make that announcement on Monday the 26th, the sales team hits the streets. That's why you can't rescind it. Because in Athens, their CBS affiliate is now selling that they have the Auburn-Georgia game and that, television ads are now starting to fly off the shelf around games there. And from that perspective, I would think that the value of the spot would would hold a higher dollar for a better game, not a bigger brand. That would be my sales pitch in the room of, yeah, you got Georgia, but Georgia's ultimately going to play a high school team, that the game's going to be over by halftime and your audience is going to fall off of a cliff at, 4 o'clock. where you got an opportunity to keep them captivated from 2:30 until we hand off the audience to Tuscaloosa for the primetime game. And now you're taking all of that built-in viewership that's sitting there and watching 4 quarters of LSU Tennessee, just thinking, can this get any better? Yeah, it can. Stick around. Texas A&M and Alabama are about to kick off in 45 minutes. I don't have to change the channel. You know what I mean? Like, it is, yes. I mean, it is sex.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
the whole block of
just
porn.
Unreal. I mean, it doesn't get, but now I've tapped out of the Georgia Auburn game at halftime.
Oh my goodness.
I'm maybe going across town
to
get a beer, to get something to eat when I come back. Georgia, Alabama and A&M are
What if it's already 14,
2 series in,
14-3 already.
But I'll sit and watch. But I mean, what TV executives want is they don't want you to move, and they want to captivate the audience so they can tell advertisers, hey, I'm going to have the football world captivated from 1 o'clock in our pregame show all the way up until midnight, because I've got a game at 2:30 and I got a game at 7 o'clock that are going to run back to back where the spread is. I mean, don't think they're not talking about that stuff in those rooms.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, Brian Kelly and Brian Harsin aren't talking that stuff, but suits are saying, hey, man, that's a pick-em game compared to a 3-score, 30-point spread. Like,
with maybe an interim head coach.
What are we doing here? I mean, this is apples and oranges here. This isn't even the same discussion.
So disappointed.
They screwed it up.
Because there's always one. There's always one. Like, when you look at the LSU schedule, right? Don't you feel like there's always one game where, like, oh yeah, like it used to be Alabama, whatever, it's not. But then you can always find, like, one more. Like, the Florida game is always pretty exciting. Auburn last year.
I thought the Tennessee game jumped
way
early.
Yes.
Like way back in the early summer last spring, I was saying, man, that Tennessee game is going to be the one.
They're both.
That's the one. Just because it's 2 programs that feel like they're kind of right next to one another. You know what I mean? And you don't want to fall into the abyss that Tennessee has fell into the last 20 years. If you're LSU, it doesn't feel like LSU can kind of work themselves out of this fairly quickly.
Caught onto the cliff.
It feels
Yes.
like they can. But Tennessee feels like they're finally starting to see some real sunlight of kind of getting out of it, finding
a rope
themselves.
fell down.
Yeah, I mean, just finally in the form of Josh Heupel.
Yes.
He seems like a really good dude.
It seems like he brought in, you find the college coaches that have a system, and it seems like his offensive system is what works. Didn't he win the Heisman winning quarterback from Oklahoma? Is that right? Yeah. Oof. Tough. I mean, time has not been kind to his body.
Or has it? You know what I mean? For someone like you who's so vain, I understand your theory. But for somebody like Heupel, who just probably let it down, just like, it was like, I got the Heisman, I got the gig, I got an offense that works, I got the contract, I'm eating the ribs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Extra sauce, if you don't mind. And give me the extra large fries and some more sweet tea.
And
Extra sweet.
Yeah.
He's definitely got diabetes.
You should get him a Ozempic.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't even get it. So
Heupel needs it. But I would just imagine at some point, he had to say, I'm letting it go because you don't look like that as a height. Like, at some point he was,
absolutely
a dude.
Yeah.
Now he's like, I guess coach body.
Yeah.
Tough.
All right, hit the like and share button, comment button. We appreciate you being here on this Tuesday. We got a jam-packed day, so we got to get out of here on time. Everybody have a good day. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. Don't forget, hold the rope tonight with TK, Coach Skipper, and Dan Cano, and your producer.
No Skip.
Lloyd Courtney.
No Skip.
No Skip.
Wait, what do you mean?
No show.
No, they're bringing. Hold on. Let me
no
get
Skip.
No,
Why?
I don't know. I think he has a book signing.
Oh, that was tonight, I think. So why not just do the show?
You're telling me. Bill Franquez fills in.
Okay.
Over the phone.
Those are some sweet pipes.
Bill Frank said, no, he's coming in. Bill Franquez is coming in.
Those are some sweet pipes. We should get him to do some sounders for us.
Is that
I'll get him to do some reads for Mikey.
Bill Franquez, doing almost like reading rap lyrics would be like the play.
Oh, like the old Duke?
I mean? Like just.
Yes.
I mean, give him the lyrics to something and see if he can.
Live from the 504.
Absolutely. Yes. The Golden Band from Tigerland.
Is it 6 to 8?
It's Mr. Crazy Flow. jumping like a bungee no rope.
With a 187 on your motherfucking car.
So hold the rope at 6 o'clock
6 o'clock.
tonight.
6 to 8.
Coach's
6 to
clicker
8,
at
6 to
2
8.
o'clock.
And Coach's clicker.
Yeah,
Cassie's clicker.
The only person that shouldn't be here 3 times today will be me, and I will be here 3 times today.
Because he's a team player.
That's right.
And he will tell you about it at every corner. Have a great day. Hit that like button, share button, comment button.
I'm sick.
I'm hurt, dog.
I'm hurt, dog.